Just, wow, thank you. So beautiful. Hi. Mary, you want to come up and just do it again? Yeah. This month, we're wrapping up the topic has been very deep message to all of us. It is as I've said before, something Ken Gordon, our spiritual director of the whole organization, reminds us that this is a teaching that has now found its time to come to evolve our teaching. We have worked the tools of it. Now it's time to take it out into the world. So this message sums up our month of talking about service to our world, and you might have taken in some of that along the way, and we tried to touch in different moments the suffering of our world so that we can remember what's going on out in our world. And the topic today is you can change the world. And you might think, me? And the song is so pertinent because there's these moments of hallelujah, of just being the humbled one, and let grace do it. You don't have to do a darn thing when you humble yourself into that place of knowing. So I speak of our teacher, Reverend Dr. Ken Gordon, and he put a letter out affirming our oneness, and I want to share this. I did it at the 9 o'clock as well, but I think it's important for all of you to take time to listen to some of the other teachers of our movement, and he is a particularly wise man, affirming our oneness as a human family. Earthquakes, fires, and floods are affecting people around the globe. As Mexico digs out of its second earthquake this month, Centers for Spiritual Living stand in prayerful support to the people of Mexico, as well as our community members and centers that have been affected there. Every time we are faced with a global or a natural crisis, we have the opportunity to hear the call for love and for life. In these times of political divisiveness, closing borders, social violence, whether between nations or within a country, when disaster strikes, we are all affected. Let us, once again, take this as an opportunity to affirm our oneness as a human family. Let us declare our commitment to love and support one another. We allow our common humanity to reach across the divides as we find powerful and creative ways to help those in harm's way. Let us also take this as an opportunity to recognize that we are part of the one whole living system. We share this world with all living beings, and we include our planet and all the beings on it as part of this precious oneness. In the same way we can destroy our environment, have a negative impact on our forest seas, and create climate change, but we can also affirm that we are capable of creating a healthy, sustainable life upon the earth. Today, Centers for Spiritual Living calls every one of us to see beyond our own lives and the relationship to the whole, and become more and more aware of the interconnectedness of all life. We are called upon to reach out, not close down. We are called to love, not separate. We are called to action, not complacency. Like the butterfly effect, we realize that what happens anywhere around the globe affects all of us. Spirit's wisdom, God's intelligence, and the will of life to love guides every one of us to reach out a helping, prayerful hand to our neighbor and to our planet. Mexico, our prayers are with you, and we stand ready to help. Florida, the Gulf of Mexico, Puerto Rico, our prayers are with you, and we are willing to help. To all those that I speak now, we offer our prayers, and we are paying attention. We are committed to making a difference and bringing wholeness to all people and to our planet. To all the states that seem to have the fires, California, Washington, Oregon, Montana, British Columbia, to the other parts of the world, Nova Scotia, Greece, Brazil, Portugal, Algeria, Tanzania, Greenland, Siberia, they're all the fires there. Texas, Florida, Puerto Rico, the islands, those touched by the hurricane. India, Nepal, Pakistan, Bangladesh, monsoons, and massive death tolls. Syria, Leon, Niger, massive floods, mudslides, and deaths in the thousands. our hearts are open to you. Italy, France, Spain, Switzerland, Hungary, Poland, Romania, Bosnia, Croatia, and Serbia are crushed in the death grip of triple-digit heat wave. They call it Lucifer. And even here in our northern state, where usually the chilly air of San Francisco has reached 106 degrees there, and in areas local around it 115 degrees, and we know that here. Remember that love guides us, every one of us, to reach out a helpful, prayerful hand to our neighbor and to our planet. Many, many blessings to you all, Dr. Ken Gordon. Powerful words. Awake up to the message today that you can change the world. I placed on the back table on the board desk a letter from our Shasta Community Interfaith Forum from Weaverville to receive donations. And so if that's something you want to partake in, take that list, look if there's anything that you have in surplus at home, and take it to the community, take it to the distribution centers. Mary, I know you weren't prepared for this, but can you come up for just a brief moment and speak to what you were telling me today, the needs of POP, so that we can speak to the public servants of our community?
Thank you, Sue. The new manager of People of Progress visited the other day, and she was astounded what we had here and so grateful what we've been able to contribute to POP. I said, well, Nancy, what's your current need? And she said, as we go into winter, jackets for children, clothes for children, and school supplies for children. She said in September, they all get those supplies, but as you go into the new year, they really appreciate having more. So those are the 3 areas that she would appreciate more help with in the next couple of months.
And even showing up there, how may I serve? So there's many calls in our own community. And then we're also visited today by Phoebe Fazio, and she handed me a gift. This is how she's going to serve the world. She recognized the calling several years ago. She's a survivor of breast cancer, and one of her healings, when you go through crisis, and you have the healing crisis, and you have the awakening, she developed sound washing, and she's part of that movement around the world, and she created her CDs. So Phoebe's right up front here. So if you're interested in this, please see her. Sound washing for divine self-care. It's perfect at this time. She's making a difference in the world. She chose to create something and to invest herself in healing of others. So God bless you for that. So those are just right there. Look what we can do. And so you can change the world. I'm sharing with you some wisdom from Andrew Harvey. He's one of my favorite social activists. He's a spiritual social activist. And lo and behold, I found this book called The Hope, A Guide to Sacred Activism from the rummage sale. Oh boy, did I dig through. I found 3 Andrew Harvey books. And he's been a wise teacher in my life for many, many years. And especially as he's taken the teaching, because we've talked about the spiritual practice. We keep inviting you into that's why you're here. It's to say your prayers, to be inspired by the mystics and the teachers of our time and those of the past, to read it every day and to allow it to be your touchstone so that you can go out into the world and say, I know what to do. My teachers live in me and Spirit lives in me, and I have the power to invest in these teachings and offer whatever I can as I become still enough through my spiritual practice to listen to that still small voice that says, yes, you can. Please offer yourself here. The simplest ways, as I was sharing in the earlier service, open a door for another. You might think, what's so big about that? But really, when somebody has sore joints and you see them carrying their stuff and you offer to just, almost mindlessly open the door for them, it is such a service to the one. And you did that without having to have any gratitude turned back upon you. Those are moments of selfless service. Offering to pay forward in lines, to offer the cars to come into the freeway before you and not feel so greedy about that spot. and to let somebody else have the parking space. How can you? Oh, there's so many ways. They're so simple. They're so innocuous. You can just go, oh, that? Yes, that. All of that. That makes a better humanity. We don't need to be selfish and stingy with all that's going on. So those are ways, those are things that we can do. But I'm going to focus the talk, some of that I talked about at the 9 o'clock. I'm going to focus right now on the attunement of our being, so that we can be good stewards and spiritual warriors in our time. We want to be in a way that we're not undermining how significant our presence is, because there is only you in this world, and you're the only one showing up in the different aspects of places in your world, in your life. We all live such busy, diverse lives, and so you're showing up there. You have these seeds of truth inside of you. So as you allow them to grow and percolate and you do your spiritual practice, you offer that peace in the world. You become that. You become that light. And that's what draws people in their confusion. They'll turn to your light and they'll know a greater way. You are the vision. You are that which God is inspiring you to do, supporting you. And you're allowing whatever wisdom that is to be made manifest. So we are knowing we're always supported, right, by the power of this good, by the power of this love. There was Catherine of Siena said, "Be who God meant you to be, and you will set the world on fire. Believe it and share it, that it is done unto you and it is done through you, and you take that out into the world. Why not?" John Kennedy said, "One person can make a difference, and everyone should try." So there's all the people that we look to that have been done amazing things: Mother Teresa, Martin Luther King, Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, Albert Einstein, Beethoven, Aristotle, Princess Diana, all these names, these people, they've all made an impact one way or another in lives. But the thing is, do you believe that you can too, that you can make a difference? And really ask yourself, why not, if you're squirming in that question? Because you're here to know that God dwells within you as you. So let God do it and get out of the way. You might not be as grandiose as Mahatma Gandhi, but you'll never know until you act, until you take that sacred act out into the world. And you might not ever get a pat on the back or acknowledgement for what you do in the world. It doesn't matter. You know that you listen to the divine call and you let your heartfelt yearnings take form. So when you feel like, well, I really want to do something, but I'm a little, I got the butterfly thing going on, pray. Pray more deeply. Be gentle with yourself. And try to recognize that there will be bumps along the way, but you'll have the courage because you're an instrument. And each time we recognize, I am the instrument, I am the instrument, I am the instrument, I am the conduit of this truth, I am that I am. When we can allow ourselves to be so pristinely aligned with that understanding, you reach your growing edge and you will have the support that you need when you reach out. So be willing to be the change out in the world. It's what is called for right here and right now. And they're highlighting what can we create when we become that change. We liberate ourselves from self-imposed limitation of our mind. Yeah, we have a perceptual field. That's why classes are so powerful, because we have this field. And sometimes even in the classes I teach, I'll stop us and I'll say, wait a minute, what is your understanding of what a cosmos is? Because we can use these words, toss them out and sound cool. But I said, what is it? What's a cosmos? And I wanted to make sure we're all on the same page, right? Because we could all start thinking we're communicating, but we're not. So let us have dialogue. Let us ask the questions to one another. What is your beliefs? And then you realize how you have self-imposed a limitation upon yourself and you break free. You create when you are allowing yourself to be the instrument of change. You create peace and connection from the inside out, and you turn your pain into power. You recognize that the struggles that you've had in your life have all been for the greater good. I hear this testimony time and again in every counseling I've ever had. I will take someone into my arms at the moment of their suffering, and days later, months later, years later, they realize that that was the stimulus that created them to a deeper understanding of what love and God really is. So, be in your pain, be with your pain, understand your pain, go into the shadows of your pain, and then let the light of the divine take your hand and lead you back out. So this idea from Andrew Harvey, he has 10 principles, and I'm going to touch upon them just really quickly because I'm going to focus on this talk on the one where he invests himself in prayer itself. So the first thing that you would do looking at yourself is to be grateful, and then you want to just note that. What am I grateful for? And as you look at what you're grateful for, note it each day. What am I grateful for? And you'll start to recognize what you really believe and what you feed your field of passion with. And then you take another moment and list the top 10 things that are sacred and dear to you. You don't try to analyze any of that, but you're trying to see what lives inside of me. May it be revealed as I take the time to put it onto paper. And then the biggest one, and it probably comes up to most of us in our lifetime, is that true deep forgiveness. And you want to think of someone who has hurt or betrayed you and make a commitment to forgive. Try to recognize with such sincerity that as you practice that deep forgiveness, it will unveil your innate capacity for strength of compassion. And it'll set you free. It'll set that human being free. And you don't have to ever interact again, but you're set free. And there's such peace and freedom, and there's another wall taken down. And then he moves into the spiritual attunements. You find something, you find a spiritual text that really speaks to your heart. And you study it, and you read it, and you feel it, and you read it again, and you feel it again. And it inspires you. The love and the wisdom of the mystics and our teachers, our prophets, they've all had a direct experience of God. Why not know their story, feel their story, and let yourself join their story, because now you are touched by that grace. And then when you're lit up inside, shifted and moved from the closed down, contracted, and woe is me, not me, I can't do it state, to yes, I can, what is there for me to do? Then you start your prayers, and you pray and pray and pray and pray. And it's interesting to follow your prayer all the way to God is, I am, I accept, I give thanks, and I release. Those are our 5 steps of our conscious prayer here. But you pray in a way that your heart just opens to that divine truth. It could simply be God is and I am, God is, I am. And you recognize I am that, and that fills you with that divine strength. Now, a clever story that he shares in his book as working to attune yourself, he expresses how he was sharing the power of prayer. And this particular woman that he was working with wasn't quite buying it. She was a little bit annoyed with him. He felt like he was being a little bit too righteous, and you might be thinking the same thing of me right now. But let me see if I can. God, I marked it so clearly, too clearly here. I got too many places where I want to share with you. So he's expressing the power, the law. He's calling these his sacred practices. So I'm only sharing this one with you. And he kind of got his comeuppance from a nun who was telling him that he wasn't really truly praying. And she said, I'm an ill old woman, and I don't have much time, and I want to see you safe before I go. You have so many gifts, but you lack humility. Ooh. You lack humility to ask for what you need, and the faith to believe that prayer can over time have results. And without that humility and that faith, everything you try and do is half-assed. I know. He got his talking, didn't he? So he said, I joined her on my knees skeptically, a little put out by the accuracy of her diagnosis, and We prayed silently together for 20 minutes, and the first 15 I was so annoyed and impatient. Then quite suddenly a wave of joy and peace swept over me and seemed to possess not only my mind, but my heart and my body. And I was astonished at the experience, one that permanently altered me. And little had I known and understood about prayer up until that moment. "You see," she said, rubbing my cheek. "Yes, I see, and I'm so sorry." And she cut me short with a wild laugh. "Oh, for God's sake, don't be sorry. Don't be sorry you didn't know. Be glad. No, be wild with joy that you are beginning to. Now I have to go. One of my nuns has been making quite a fuss about nothing, and I have to give her quite a severe dressing down, which I might enjoy rather too much if I don't restrain myself." So that was his lead-in. And now he took some time speaking. He took that. That was a life-altering moment with himself. And he took it to his sacred activist. That's been his life journey. He studied a lot of Rumi and a lot of the Divine Feminine, a lot of Divine Mother. And so he's very polished in those areas in some of his other readings. But he said, "Sometimes I speak to the sacred activists of the power of prayer, and they look at me a little askance as if to say, 'You may think it works for you, but I frankly don't believe it.' And even when I speak about all the modern research that shows how powerful prayer is, they still kind of, fade out and walk away. Many have been burned by the hypocritical and sometimes hysterical piety of traditions that they are fleeing from. If I can persuade them to try prayer and do it sincerely, they often write me, 'Thank you, God. I trusted you enough to begin to pray, and I cannot begin to describe what I have derived from it.'" So here he spoke to a group of AIDS volunteers going to Darfur. "I said to them, 'What are you going to see and feel will shake most kinds of meditation. It will make most kinds of meditation hard to sustain. If you can choose a short, simple prayer and keep saying it in your heart, whatever you are witnessing and going through, I swear to you, that will be more help than you can imagine now.' One of the volunteers, a beautiful green-eyed French woman, came up to me and said contemptuously, 'Do you really believe saying a few syllables over and over again will help me bear what I have to bear?' 'Yes, I do,' I said. 'Have you ever had to pick up the bloody pieces of a child exploded by a bomb or cradle a 5-year-old girl who's been gang raped?' 'No, but I have come to some terrible dark places, and in those I found prayer has been essential to my survival as breathing.' She looked at me as if I had slapped her and stalked off. 3 months later, I got a letter from her from Darfur. 'I didn't like you and what you said or the way you said it. But I came to such an abyss of despair and such a depth of exhaustion that one night, slightly drunk, and at the end of my last rope, I thought, well, hell, why don't I just try praying? I don't know if there is any God or if there is any God that he or she is even listening anymore, but maybe just talking to myself in the dark will keep me from jumping out the window. So I started to say the only prayer I knew, Hail Mary. I had been regularly beaten by sadistic nuns at one of those convent boarding schools with hard beds and peeling white walls with the smell of perpetual stale laundry and soap. At first I rebelled and deliberately mixed up the words and thought myself an idiot, but I continued. I don't know why, but I continued, but I did. Perhaps I was at the last desperate space, desperate enough to at least want to believe in something. Perhaps, too, my pride was being broken to begin in me this kind of humility that you described, which frankly nauseated me at the time. Nothing miraculous happened. I am clearly not Bernadette, but half an hour I felt peaceful. And I actually was able to get some rest. I had not slept for more than an hour for 2 months. It seemed the things that you see here keep you from sleep for a lifetime. But that night I slept until morning. And when I awoke, I found myself saying, Hail Mary, full of grace. Hail Mary, full of grace. And for the first time, I broke into tears. When you're a nurse dealing all the time with atrocities, you can't help hardening your heart. Your heart turns to black stone. The words of the silly old prayer, as I had always thought it, and the tears they invoked in me beyond my will cracked open the black stone of my heart. Since then, shamefacedly and amazed at myself, I have found myself using it often every day, singing it sometimes. God, you should hear my singing. I shall never become a Christian or pious. I'm not sure even who Mary is, but I'm increasingly sure, despite everything of well-honed, trained mind tells me, there is something great, mysterious love that is listening, and God knows, listening to me personally, listening in me. I don't know anything really, but I trust now, and I find I'm able to work more calmly and without the rage and despair that was so exhausting me. So I suppose I have to say thank you. Thank you for being so annoying and imprinting some of your passion on my heart despite my better judgment. Isn't that a great story? And, sometimes we might get our answers that way when we ask in prayer, and somebody might say something and we think, no, that's so annoying and prissy, and we don't want to do that. But then when we really take the time to practice, to take the skills and practice, we attune ourselves to this divine. So the invitation for you is to look deeper into your prayers and to recognize how potent they are and how important they are into the world right now. Now, he reminds us that oftentimes when we're in the prayer, and this lady described it very well, you meet up with your shadow side, and you might meet these saboteurs that might keep you from really linking into that, and it can be a disbelief, like she shared. I don't believe in this. Because you're trying to understand it intellectually, but it's a felt sense, it's emotional knowing of God. And you begin to take a leap of courage, a leap of faith to recognize what it is, this disbelief, and you turn it into a belief. You might be faced with denial, thinking it's not going to work. You might be faced with dread and feeling that you just want to, give up. It's just too much to deal with, like she shared. You might be disillusioned. And you might let it guide you into a place where if you follow that disillusionment, you might stay stuck there. But if you allow yourself to stay with it, it'll transform you and awaken you. It's what divine mercy is. And if there might be also this saboteur of just desire to cease to be, I don't want to be on this planet anymore. I don't want to live in America anymore. Whatever you might have found yourself saying, come back home and offer yourself in a form of service. There's 5 forms of service, and you want to service to the divine, always service to the divine. You want to become, secondly, that divine instrument to attune yourself. You want to take care of your body. And I wanted to share in that, he gives us this advice, taking care of your body. He says, because he was a student of Father B.B. Griffith. And he says, imagine, this is B.B. Griffiths talking to him, imagine that God is a great musician and you are the flute. So imagine that you all here are the flutes. He wants to play the most glorious music. If the stops of your flute are filled with mud, how can the music that is meant to be played through you sound at all? By removing the mud from the stops of your sacred instrument with prayer, inspiration, taking care of yourself, the exercise, the rest, you allow your body to renew itself and live in balance. You can do that, right? Yeah, we've got all kinds of things that we offer here. So let me take you on a journey here. Tune yourself with his words. So close your eyes and just kind of feel, how do I get there? How do I get there to be the one to serve, the one that longs to dance and meditate and pray? How can I be the one? So it begins with Divine Mother. Give me your eyes so that I can see myself through them and see how holy in your eyes is my soul. And how holy in your eyes is my mind, and how holy in your eyes is my heart, and how holy and sacred in your eyes is my body. Help me be as merciful and generous with myself as you always want me to be. Help me honor myself as I have found, to my amazement, you honor me. Help me live and work from the peace and the balance and the compassion from which you live and work and help. Help me to live in these ways, Mother, so I can at last truly become the instrument you need me to be, the sacred instrument of your compassion and action that you created me to be, and that I already am in your holy and illumined eyes. Help me, Divine Mother, be that. And it matches that prayer. As you attune yourself to that, it matches that prayer of the divine, of St. Teresa of Avila. There are no hands but yours. You know that prayer? There are no other hearts but yours to go out there and be in service to this beautiful world of ours. So, the attunement, I'm going to ask you, just before you play, Judy, there's another attunement, and it's the practice of Om. And I invite you to just practice the sounding of Om right now. As we share it together, what is Om? It's actually A-U-M. The A starts low, the U comes up into the belly space, and the M vibrates in your throat space, and all of it vibrates the higher centers. Why is the word Om so potent? Why do you hear it? And sometimes you hear it in a comical way. Oh, they just sit around oming. But it's the sound of all sounds. It's the sound contained in all sounds. It's the sound of the universe, and we all have the hum in the sound of Om. And so I invite you, just as quietly as you can, in your own voice, in your own tone. We're just going to do 3 Oms, just so gentle. You can even put your hands upon your belly and feel where that source of sound begins in you, and feel the attunement. Watch us build our community into the sound. We take one breath into silence. Take that breath first. Breathe it in and breathe it out. And the next breath, just so gentle from your heart. It's what God does. Blesses us in that sound. We become one in the hum of the universe, and we create that sound, and it moves through us, and it dispels all darkness, and it brings us back into the light of our truth. I guarantee it. When you are afraid, turn to that internal sound, a sound with no other words ascribed to it, just the pure sound of God flowing, breathing through you. This attunement is also shared by Martia Nelson. And I'll have Judy play some music as you stay in that attunement, as we respond in the depth of our being through these wisdom waves. Let any issue that has been bothering you about the world bring your awareness to that place within you where that issue might reside. Let yourself explore that inner issue as it relates to your life, That which you see within is also happening outside and all around you. You want to feel all the feelings. Observe the belief patterns that you associate. Share your heartfelt experience with another, or journal it with yourself, but know your truth. And as you can accept any existence of an inner limitation, you find your way to be unlimited, to the real you that lives within you as you. Notice now your new focus on the unlimitedness, bringing you greater well-being into your life. And as you bring that into your life, you are expanding it beyond your perception of yourself. You're moving into the light of others and into the light of the world. Can you see that inner light within you? It starts in the heart space, that which was in the dark fields, hidden down deep, afraid and worried and concerned, suddenly becomes filled with a light. And that light expands and radiates until all you see is that divine radiant light, moving, pulsing, breathing you. You are about to change the world. And you take all the action that still small voice is encouraging you, beckoning you as you drop to your knees, humbled by your ways and willing to create a healthier world, genuinely bringing yourself into the world. Your inner alignment has happened. You have connected with the sound of truth. You have connected to the divine principle of absolute love, and it has filled you with a light. Take that light out into the world. Offer it. Offer it again. Offer it again. And don't look back. Just keep going, offering the light, offering the love. We have some work to do in our world. Stay awake, stay in touch, be the one that changes the world. We can do this. It's a powerful teaching. Join all of us in this movement. And then we pause, our hearts fluttering, curious, wondering what's next. We know we will be guided. Thank you, God, for guidance, for truth, for fellowship, for this community of wise souls. Thank you for the music that enters our being and reminds us who we are. I'm releasing these words because I'm absolutely in full trust and faith that it is done. It is so. And we are the ones making a difference in the world. What a great time to be alive. And so it is.